welcome again to a daily portion of German. And here we're dealing with the third segment of five, covering Hermann Hesse's short story Der Dichter, the poet. So, CJ is here with us today, and he's going to be reading and helping us to translate. So as before, I'll read the sentences as you know by now, and he'll repeat after me. And please read along with him in order to get the flavor of the sound of the words and the pronunciation especially. And then I'll ask individual questions and try to answer on your own in your imagination what the replies would be, and then we'll work together in that way and then work toward the third step, which is to translate them as literally as possible. Okay, so here we go. All set? Here we start. Okay. Da geschah es an einem Abend, everybody?
Da geschah es an einem Abend,
Da ein Lampenfest auf dem Flusse begangen wurde,
da ein Lampenfest auf dem Flusse begangen wurde,
das Handtuch allein am jenseitigen Ufer des Flusses wanderte.
das Handtuch allein am jenseitigen Ufer des Flusses wandelte.
Good. All right, so there are two das in this, which are indicated to the right, but what is the first? Is it an adverb or is it a subordinating conjunction?
The first is an adverb.
Why?
The second position of the verb.
Right, because the verb appears right here instead of at the end of the clause. Here's a da, and where's the verb appear? Here?
At the end.
And also notice that the helping verb is reversed with the main verb. So, begangen wurde indicates that this is a causal, meaning since or because. Okay, let's see. So, geschah is the past tense from geschehen. So it's geschehen, geschah, geschehen. And it's a strong verb because there's a vowel change from the present to the past tense. Let's see. And begangen was to celebrate, was celebrated. And let's see. Okay, so, and this is a dative on one evening. And the Flusse, here's the E, auf dem Fluss, which means on the river. But the E, what is the E called in some quarters?
A stylistic E.
Good. Yeah, it's not necessary to be there because you could just as well say auf dem Fluss, but it's more eloquent, you could say, if you say auf dem Flusse. It flows more easily off the tongue. Okay, so let's see. Once you go up to here, if you can, CJ, up to wurde.
Okay. So it happened there on an evening, since a festival of lights was being celebrated on the river.
Mm-hmm. Okay, das Handtuch, then we'll go in a little bit. Das Handtuch allein am jenseitigen Ufer des Flusses wandelte, which we read already. So this das introduces a subordinate clause, right, CJ?
Mm-hmm.
And where's the verb of this clause?
Wandelte.
So it comes at the end, typical and necessary for a subordinate clause. And what about this des Flusses? Why is this an es at the end of this word here?
As a possessive.
Mm-hmm. It's in the genitive case.
I mean, genitive, yes.
And can you add simply an s onto two s's?
No.
Impossible. So you have to have an es. So the ending of the genitive nouns that are in the genitive case, those masculine or neuter nouns, will add either an s or an es to indicate that as a sign of the genitive. Good. Let's see. And this means on the far side, jenseitige, as opposed to diesseitige, which is on this side. Jenseitige is the opposite. You also have the former, the latter. Diese, jener. Jener is the former because it's further away, and diese is the latter, which is closer. Similar words. Okay, you want to do the whole two sentences there from da all the way down to wandelte?
Sure. One sentence, but I'll do it. It happened there on an evening, since a festival of lights was being celebrated on the river, that Han Fuch wandered alone on the further bank of the river.
Perfect. Great. Okay. Verb complex here after Let's read this together. Lehnte sich an dem Stamm eines Baumes. Everybody?
lehnte sich an den Stamm eines Baumes,
der sich über das Wasser neigte
der sich über das Wasser neigte
und sah im Spiegel des Flusses
und sah im Spiegel des Flusses
1000 Lichter schwimmen und zittern. Okay, let's stop right there. So here you have lehnte sich, he leaned himself literally, but with the reflexive pronouns, you would actually translate them literally, and then after doing so, you would realize whether it's necessary to include in your translation or not to convey the meaning. So he leaned on the trunk of a tree, and what's the der refer back to? It's
the
antecedent.
tree.
Yeah, the tree, which was bent over the river. Now this is über can take either dative or accusative. What is it taking here, CJ?
Accusative?
Accusative. Bent over the river, toward the river is the sense of the accusative. And saw. Now here I want to indicate that the verb sehen, this comes from sehen, so the three pencil parts are sehen, sah, gesehen. So he saw. So this verb sehen and hören can take complementary sort of infinitive as an infinitive, but this means he saw swimming with the infinitive, and he saw trembling. So that's how would you translate that? Okay, so let's see. Can you start with lehnte sich from there?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
He leaned himself, or he leaned on the trunk of a tree, which bent itself over the water, and saw in the mirror of the water 1,000 lights swimming and trembling.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what the direct object of this. So this is the direct object here, die Lichter. He saw them, these lights. This is obviously poetic prose, as you can tell already. And then it goes on with sah, and then hörte, and then each of these past tenses will take is completed with an infinitive. Begrüßen here, to greet, and and he saw also glänzen. He saw it glistening. Okay, so let's see. I saw it. So what's the direct object from saw in this sentence here? CJ?
Männer und Frauen
Good.
und Mädchen.
Good. He saw men and women and young ladies. Those are the direct objects. And so how would you just translate sah begrüßen?
He saw greeting.
Good. Okay. And let's see. And he saw also is the verb that goes together with glänzen. So how would you translate that? This means to glisten.
Well, he saw glistening?
He saw glistening, ing. Good. Good. So let's see. So why don't you go from here down to glänzen?
Okay. He saw men and women and young ladies greeting one another on the boats and rafts, and in festive gowns, glistening as beautiful flowers.
Yeah, and with this two infinitives here belonging together with saw, you could actually repeat the saw again. So he saw these people greeting one another, and he saw and he saw them in festive gowns, glistening as beautiful flowers. Good. Now here you go on with hörte. So let's read from here a little bit, everybody. And we're going down to widerzuspiegeln, right down to let's see, where are we? No, I'm sorry, down to schweben. That's where we're going. So, and we're hoping to finish this in our 9-minute limit. So let's go on. Hörte, for reading from right here. Hörte das schwache Gemurmel der beleuchteten Wasser. Everybody?
Hörte das schwache Gemurmel der beleuchteten Wasser.
Den Gesang der Sängerinnen.
Den Gesang der Sängerinnen.
Das Schwirren der Zither und die süße Töne der Flötenbläser.
Das Schwirren der Zither und die süßen Töne der Flötenbläser.
Okay, so how about, let's see. So right here we have let's see. So he hears, or he heard, sorry, past tense, and then it just takes a couple of direct objects. Where are the direct objects from that, CJ?
Gemurmel,
Yeah. And then,
Gesang,
good. Gesang, he heard the song, and he heard,
Stirren,
and this is actually an infinitive made into a noun, so you use it translated as a gerund, and the humming of the. So this is the construction area. He heard the murmur, he heard the song, and he heard the humming. So do that whole thing.
in the tuna.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I missed that. Did you say the tuna fish or tuna?
In the tuna.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. And he heard the sweet tones of the flute players. Okay, so go ahead and translate from here down to, let's see, down to here. Hörte.
Okay. He heard the weak murmur of the illuminated waters, the song of the singers, females, the humming of the zither, and the sweet tones of the flute players.
Good. And über dem, let's go on from here. Und über dem allem sah die blauliche Nacht wie das Gewölbe eines Tempels schweben. Everybody?
Und über dem allem sah die blauliche Nacht wie das Gewölbe eines Tempels schweben.
So where's the verb complex there?
Well, schweben, but we have to go back to saw.
Yeah. So how would you translate that by itself? Giving a pronoun?
He saw suspended.
Suspended, or you could say floating. Either one is fine. They give suspended here on the right. So he saw suspending or suspended. Actually, if you use the floating, you can actually use that to make this infinitive as a gerund. Yeah. So he saw floating. It would be nice. What's the direct object?
Knocked.
Good. Here's the direct object. Circle the direct object. He saw the night as an arch. Okay. Do the whole thing, starting with und.
And over all that, he saw the blue night suspended, or floating as the arch of a temple.
Great. Okay. Very nicely done. So I hope you've all followed the unfolding of the grammar and some comment on some of the words of this poetic prose. So I hope you enjoyed it, and talk to you again later. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.